Okay, guys, thank you for joining me. Let's jump right into Pulldrone.
One, apathy. I am that I am, and I am nothing. Two, disruption. There goes a great shudder through the muscle, a shimmering of bells through the mist.
Wow,
Three,
what imagery! What amazing
curiosity.
imagery.
One quick moment to crane the neck. I have always possessed the insatiable need to see what happens inside the room. Four, assimilation. Low wellspring of knowledge, of feeling, of sensation, beauty, overwhelming. I will dislocate my jaw to fit it all in. 5, aggrandization. The pull, yes, the pull. Send down your cordage of suffocation and let me in.
I'm totally living for this, by the way.
6,
She is an unbelievable poet.
delineation. I want to know what God knows, and I will be with him. Sent over the edge, I sigh. Flush against the veil, I sing. 7, perversion.
Interesting inflection of that
It
word.
is no good, bearing false witness. The sinner's errand. I am what I am, but we are not the same. It is no good, speaking of fairness. The fool's errand. 8, resentment. Are these laurels to be proud of? Let me tell you how much I've come to hate you since I began to live. Hate. Hate.
Mm.
9, separation.
Great touch, that second delivery of the word hey.
I was an angel, though plummeting. The stars are as beams, shining through the wheel.
Love
I
it.
am sure that hell must be cold.
Maybe I would put this on in the car.
10,
Why not?
degradation. Nature chews on me.
That's a line from the second track.
11, annihilation. This agony, such is the consequence of audience. I will claw my way back to the great dark, and we will not speak of this place again. 12, desolation. Therein lies sacred geometry of onanism, of Ouroboros, of punishment.
Snake eating itself.
as I no longer am, for I am nothing.
Ouch. I don't know, I'm kind of obsessed with this. I can't really explain it. I guess I'm a little bit nervous that the rest of the track appears to be instrumental, but I really enjoyed that opening monologue. Amazing poetry. Kinda got little hints of Sylvia Plath here and there. You know, similarly nihilistic sentiments. I say nihilism, but that could be me just kind of taking it at face value, which is probably not the intention. Like, I am nothing. Initially it seems quite negative, but in another way you could say I'm nothing in the sense of I am free of my chains. I am free of all that I labeled myself to be. And now I'm free to just, you know, be water, right? Just flow. I don't have to be something. I can be nothing. I am nothing. Interesting. That interpretation makes more sense to me when it comes to the album's general theme. And this droning has a more positive spin to it. It's almost reminiscent of like a violin duo or a string duo playing a country song or tuning themselves for a little country jig. I'm getting the plains, the breeze, the wind. You can hear a distinct major chord there throughout these drones. At least I can. So as I hoped, we actually do get a development of the droning in this track. This could be just because I'm from New York, but that higher pitched drone is kind of sounding a little bit like construction, roadworks, a saw. Interesting there. Oh, it stopped for a second. Maybe it is supposed to be giving saw. It kind of stopped there and then started again like a saw might. Very cool experimentation with the sounds here. And I really want to know how they achieved that sound. Yeah, like that sounded like when I get a buzz cut at the barber. I know that this album is probably gonna be divisive. Well, I guess it depends. If you're an Ethel Cain fan and her other stuff is similar to this, you're gonna be totally happy, but I can see it being criticized for being pretentious, maybe. And honestly, I think it borders on that at times. You know, maybe this track didn't need to be 15 minutes long. However, there's small subtleties in the production that you can catch here and there that shows you that they really did care about attention to detail. And when I say they, I'm kind of in my mind, I'm thinking about herself and her mixing engineer, her producer, whatever team that she had surrounding herself to make this album. Like that bending sound in the background. There's a bending up and a bending down. Very subtle stuff. So that it never sounds too static. It actually is a forward moving piece. And that's really important when making this kind of experimental atmospheric stuff. It's what makes this style very difficult to make, because it's all about subtlety and detail. And when I say difficult to make, I mean it's difficult to make it good, or difficult to make it interesting. Like, I'm perfectly entertained right now, you know. I'm not bored at all. I do feel, yeah, it's going on a bit, but there's still plenty to talk about. The way the energy came back there all together was interesting. It's sort of like a last hurrah. Like, oh no, actually, it's relentless. There's no let up. Sorry if I keep dipping off to the side. Very cool. Very cool. Maybe my favorite song of the album, to be honest. Pulldrone. A classic. Instant classic. This is Etienne. This one is about an architect, I believe. An architect that she admires. It could be about him specifically, or his general style that she got inspired by. I think this is one of those tracks that is a bit more open to interpretation in terms of its meaning. I love this lonely piano. I'm intrigued by the ambient noise alongside it. Kind of sounds like maybe rain against a window. In a car, maybe? That's a really nice melodic lick there. This part reminds me of very early Evanescence, actually. There's an album called Origin that they released before they blew up. Has a lot of this kind of stuff in it. Absolutely gorgeous album. We need to talk about it on the channel. So yeah, this stuff totally up my alley. I love it. Love that little lick. It's cool. This part, this instrumental is so pretty. I really like it. So the concept behind the song is interesting, considering how this music sounds. We could be going back to the whole power plant thing, right? Where this music could be inspired by the eroticism evoked by certain aesthetics. In this case, architecture or monuments, the shapes and the angles. Is it weird that I could totally picture listening to this album, ideally, in my fantasies, in some infinity pool somewhere? You know, in the rain. Wouldn't that be sick? Guess I'll just have to settle for the bath. I'm also wondering how much of this album is improv and how much was carefully composed. My guess is a mix of both. I think for this track, for example, they had a general plan laid out. But a lot of these strums and the exact moment the guitar came in, you know, probably was improvised. Would love to know more details on that. And I love the creative idea of leaving all of these lyrics till the very end of the track. Can't believe we haven't gotten them yet. Could be another quick spoken part, because we're running out of time here for all these lyrics to happen. So the track actually almost completely dies out before any words are spoken or lyrics sung.
So he decided that the best way to end his life was to have a heart attack. He thought he could induce a heart attack by running at a very fast rate for a sizable distance, and then falling exhausted and dying. So he set out to run as hard as he could, and he ran until he was exhausted and he collapsed, but he didn't die. So the next night he tried the same thing and he ran again. He still didn't die. So he tried it again the third night, and then the fourth and the fifth. And after this had been going on for a week, he felt so good that he didn't want to kill himself anymore.
Nice little tale there. This is Thatorchia. And this is a instrumental. I'd like to hear from fans of this genre, like more typical fans of this genre, this sort of atmospheric noise, droning. if this album stands out to you, or if it's derivative, because I really don't listen to this style too much. So to me, it's kind of a novelty. I have heard this style before in places, but I think because I don't usually listen to this kind of stuff, I'm really enjoying myself. Now that said, this particular track, I'm not hearing anything super compelling compared to what we've already heard on this project. I'm going to say project, not album, because she doesn't consider it an album. I probably will have to put album reaction in the video title for the sake of views, unfortunately. So you'll have to excuse my camera shaking. That's my cat jumping on the table. I like this vocal layering. Something else to listen to apart from the droning. I do appreciate that. You know, one thing I will say is that the reverb is a little bit of a cop-out sometimes. It's an easy way to achieve a sort of ethereal feeling. And we love that, but... Sorry, I'm just going to pause. I'm going to get him off the table. Christ's sake. Okay, let me just go back there a little bit because he interrupted the flow. Cats, they're unpredictable and I need to get a better setup. I love him to death, of course, but I do acknowledge that this is a bit of a nuisance. So I'm going to go back about a minute or so. But yeah, I was just talking about the reverb, right? So we love reverb, we love etherealness, but I would be interested to hear a production by her that is not so heavily produced in terms of reverb and effects. What music from her would sound like that is a little bit more dry and truer to the original sound that she recorded. Like her raw vocal, no effects. I think that would be a cool thing for her to explore. So if she does have other music that like fits that description, let me know. And the reverb, by the way, is the sort of general echoey sound on her vocal. So a more like compact, claustrophobic sound would be interesting as opposed to this vast, cavernous thing going on here. As pretty as this is, as gorgeous as it is, sometimes it can get a little bit monotonous and washed out, a little overproduced. So in fact, this song is one of the weaker ones for that reason, in my opinion. It's overly reliant on the spaciness of the reverb and all that's going on there. But compositionally, there's not really much to chew on. Like I thought the noisier tracks were even more admirable. It is pretty though, it is pretty. I can understand why it might be some people's favorite. So this is the final track, Amber Waves. I believe this one has lyrics. Very much enjoyed this album overall. Really, really great piece of work. Sorry, this project. And I'm glad to see that it actually did get pretty good reviews in general.
I would recommend that you take just as much as you need to feel good.
I like how almost like the sound of a wave came through in that line. Really neat.
Time on without me. I'll be alright.
Very expressive singer.
I'll be alright.
Really knows how to tell a story with her voice.
I take the long way home, shaking the bottle and letting them roll.
So yeah, I just talking about the reverb again. I'm quite loving this song, but I was asking myself there if I would enjoy a live show of this, and I'm not sure if I would. I think a live show of this, I personally might get a little bit bored, but the vision that she's crafted through the studio track, through the production, and the atmosphere, the background sounds, is very compelling. So as far as her live shows go, I do want to know what those productions are like. I can't imagine them to be that pared down because her music is not pared down. It's very highly produced, and not in a bad way. But the production is a huge part of why this music is successful in the way I perceive it to be. I talked at the beginning of the reaction that I was hoping for some dynamics in the album, and I'm glad to say that the dynamics are very apparent. Like this more, I guess, warm vibe that I'm hearing. Yes, it's very haunting, ghostly, a little spooky, but it's also quite warm and reassuring. We're arriving at a more positive place to my ears. So the journey from the beginning of the album to the end is apparent. Ooh, gorgeous melody there. Her harmonies are pretty nuts, actually. Herself and Caroline Polachek should definitely collab if they haven't already. Similar styles, a little bit. So pretty, gorgeous, really lovely melody. Amazing resolution to the album, if you ask me. And I was saying how I hear positivity in this music. In the Genius annotation, it says something about her in this song heartbreakingly giving in to the divine theater, and I don't know what that means, but I took that to be a negative thing. I'm hearing it as a positive thing, but that's the beauty of interpretation, isn't it? Like this little guitar riff does sound a little lonely now that you mention it, a little hopeless, but it also sounds, what's the word I'm looking for? It has a sound of acceptance, I'll put it that way. These little acoustic moments are really lovely too. A really lovely way to end the album. Really lovely. Very touching, very moving. There's one lyric left. And it does seem to have a negative connotation, but let's see.
I can't feel anything.
Okay. Wow. What an interesting note to end the album on with that last sentence spoken like that. Not sure how to take that. That certainly does sound a little bleak. So I am curious to know what it's getting at. The Divine Theater. Let me know in the comments. Maybe I need to go look at that Genius annotation again more closely to really get a grasp on that. But anyway, I found this album to be thoroughly enjoyable. Great experience. Very interesting. A lot to talk about. A lot to feel. A lot to think about. A lot to wrestle with. A lot of challenging moments. Peaceful moments. A little bit of push and pull. Back and forth. Uncertainty. Complexity. Extremely memorable. I do believe I will come back to this album. Maybe sooner than I expect. I just enjoyed myself so much that I'm just going to have a hankering to put it on. The only downside is I don't think this album would fare well without at least a good 80 to 90% of my attention. You can't really put it on in the background while you're cleaning or even working. Maybe you could, because I guess it does at times seem like it would work well as background ambiance because it's not exactly rich with busy melodies or anything like that, but there's so much subtlety in it, gorgeous transitions between textures and passages that are interesting enough to deserve notice. Her lyricism is out of this world, powerful stuff. She really has her pulse on the listener's heart and her own heart. I did talk about how some of these concepts are not very literal. They do seem to be open to interpretation, even if the titles of the songs are based on certain things, such as that architect and the idea of vacillating, for example. It's very interesting that she's connected those concepts to perversion in some way. Like, I want to get into her mind more. I'm so fascinated by this, and it's because she's given us a taste of her mind, the way she thinks about these things. And that's what art is about. It's about that self-expression, putting things out to the world that you care about or have been affected by, and expressing those things, sharing those things. And in turn, you can change the way people think. You can make people feel less alone because they relate to it. And that obviously will vary depending on who hears this album, but that's the quality of authenticity that I get from this project. So, very positive words for this album. I really liked it. As a vocalist, she's got that star power, that talent. The vocal technique that she uses suits the message of the songs, the style of the music perfectly well. She offered a lot of different vocal dynamics despite the fact that these songs were kind of subdued. And that's a really great talent to have. Like, for example, I love a lot of belting. I love a lot of impressive vocal runs. I'm into my R&B and my pop. But within the space that she gave us in this album, there was still a lot of different touches vocally that she was giving without having to go overboard or put a lot of volume into the vocals. Granted, that was helped by the production a lot to make everything she did audible, but still, I have to give that credit where credit's due. Like I said, she's very expressive, very compelling. I was totally affected. I'm gagged. This was a sick-ass album. Honestly. I think that's all I have to say. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for supporting my channel. I hope you enjoyed this reaction. I'm not always this positive, but this album fortunately elicited a positive response from me. How about that? And with that, I'll leave you go. Hope you guys have a wonderful day or evening. Please do let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and I'll chat to you soon. Have a good one.